All right, so I know we're kind of early in the week for this. We're only on day 2 of the training. Let me just there we go. Okay, so sorry. So like I said, I know we are only on day 2 of the group this week, but I am traveling the rest of the week, so I wanted to make sure that we got at least one Zoom in to kind of talk with you guys about sort of what's going to go on this week and see if you guys had any questions about recruiting coaches, getting your new coaches started right. If you have questions, if you feel like something is not working and you're looking for sort of suggestions, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about what I do with my new coaches and how I get them started. And then I will open it up. If you guys have questions as I go along, there's a lot of feedback. So just type any questions that you have in the chat below, and I'll make sure that we get to all of them before we sign off. We'll keep this to about 45 minutes. So I will start. And then if you guys have questions as I'm going along about things that I'm talking about or things that you are curious about or would like some tips on, just go ahead and type them in the box below. So what I do when I am signing up coaches, as far as getting them started right, there's a ton of different ways that we can really kind of go along with this. The important thing is that whatever we do choose is that it's always consistent. We always want to make sure that we are giving our new coaches the same information that we had when we got started, not leaving anything out, making sure that they know kind of where everything is, in not an overwhelming sort of sense, but that they get enough information to kind of get them started and they can slowly kind of move along, either at their own pace or through a Coach Basics, whichever way that you do. Now, how many of you, just hold your hand up, how many of you guys run Coach Basics monthly for your team or every other month? Or do any of you use Coach Basics? Okay. So I personally do not use Coach Basics. I use it sort of like an outline of it, but I don't run a live group. We have so many that are constantly recruited on our team that we'd be running new ones every week, and it just gets very overwhelming for all of the leaders. So what we do on our team is when a new coach comes in, they get obviously a welcome email. I hope that all of you at least send welcome emails to your new coaches when they sign up, kind of letting them know where they can find their back office, letting them know, where they can find the National Wake Up Call if you have weekly or biweekly team calls or anything like that. Any sort of information that they would need, how to access the Coach Mobile app, how to set up their EFT, all those sort of basic things, that we kind of see getting started. So my email is very similar. It tells them a little bit about me. It tells them a little snippet of my story and how I kind of got involved with the Beachbody opportunity. It lets them know where they can find their back office. It's got some screenshots to show them like where to start, where to set up their EFT. And it's actually done over a series of 4 or 5 emails over the first couple of weeks. I don't do a specific get started right call. For me, for my coaches, it didn't seem to work well for my personally sponsored coaches. I do touch base with them within the first 72 hours that they've signed up. So we do, I guess it's kind of like a GSR. It's not a super long call that we kind of hear that these get started right calls are usually 30 or 60 minutes. Mine are about 15 to 20 minutes, a quick chat about their goals, where they can find things. And then we kind of move on. And what we do is we talk weekly for the first 5 or 6 weeks for about 20 minutes. So as each week goes by, as they get a little further into their training, they can kind of, ask questions specific to kind of what they've been through, instead of saying, okay, you're ready to start. What kind of questions do you have? And they're kind of like a deer in headlights. Like they have so many questions. They don't know where to start. They're maybe not sure what to do. So I kind of break it down for them so we can kind of go over stuff a little bit each week as they are kind of starting and learning their way around. For trainings, we have a completely self-led training. So what happens is we have a training lab. The coaches are then put into it. It's just a private Facebook page. And they can complete all of their training at their own pace. I have a lot of working moms on my team. I have a lot of full-time working women on my team that maybe can't get in to check a Facebook group every single day or at the same time each morning. So our trainings are completely self-led. They can come in this way for the runners if they want to come through and they want to complete 2 or 3 days at one time and then take a day off. They've got that ability. If they are somebody who can only check in a few days a week, they can come in and do 2 or 3 lessons each day that they check in and not worry about falling behind or missing daily postings. They have all of the information accessible to them. So we've got a 10-day new coach training. When they complete that, they get a little certificate that says they completed it. And then we have a 27-day or 27 lessons, I should say. Sort of, it's based off the outline of Coach Basics. I've kind of just made the post sound a little more like me. We've added some videos from leaders on our team, but it's a way for coaches to not feel pressured to complete the training in a certain amount of time. And I think that that has been more beneficial to my team kind of as they sort of, move along through the training. So the important things when we're getting coaches started right is we always want to make sure that we're talking to them about sharing the opportunity. It can be scary for new coaches. A great thing that you can always do is if you have your own team page, is if you have posts that have worked for you, if you have some scripts that you've used, share them, post them in your team page. It will help your coaches kind of see sort of what good posts would sound like, good posts would look like, encourage them to read them, take them, adapt them, make them sound like their own, and kind of go on from there. Let them see what a great post sounds like. Show them, put examples of what a good social media post would look like. We never obviously want to appear salesy. We never want to just be posting our Beachbody link right on our Facebook page and say, oh, now I'm a Beachbody coach. Here's my site. You can go order. How is that organized so that it's easier for them to keep them? Do you mean the training, Brandy? Is that what you mean? So it's in a Facebook page. And actually, let me see if I can share my screen and I can kind of show you guys what it looks like. So it's actually just organized in a private Facebook group. And let's see if I can pull this up for you guys. So it's all organized. So when a new coach comes into our team, they're added to the team page and then they are added to here. So let me share. I lost you guys. Let me share my screen and I can show you what this looks like. And okay, can you guys see my screen? Okay. So when they come on, the only thing that they see is just this pinned post at the top of the page. There's no other posts that they can sort of see. This is the email that they'll get. They'll click on this, they'll enter their name and their email, and then they'll start to get those automated emails, which is the welcome email and the few emails that follow it. And then what they do from there is, this is all of their introductory training. So we have it broken down. It's the 10-day new coach boot camp, and then these are the 4 next weeks of training, and they can kind of go through these at their own pace. So if a new coach were to come in, they would come in, they would enter their name and their email, and then they would click on this, and it basically pulls up the 10 days worth of posts. So they just would go through them one by one, and I can show you what the first one looks like. It kind of just shows up, and they post their video and their welcome right at the bottom. They tag their sponsor. So we can kind of see that they've completed it. And we go through and I track my coaches, and we can kind of see who goes through and who completes each post day by day. And then they'll complete this, they'll complete all 10 days, and then they'll come back out to the main page and they'll start with week 1. So week 1 has 7 lessons. They'll go through each one of these. They'll tag their sponsor after each one that they've completed them. And there's videos and links and images to kind of help them through this. A lot of these are videos that my leaders have done. But this is what has really sort of worked best for us. We have a lot of coaches who really want to run. And what happens is we found that when we had that daily training with Coach Basics, it sort of slowed them down. Because if you have coaches who get really excited and they want to kind of like take off after 3 or 4 days of one short post a day, it would start to hold them back. So to have this was great for them to kind of go at their own pace, and really sort of see what pace they wanted to go at that was best for them. Does anybody have questions before I go on? Mm-hmm. Hang on, Stephanie. I'm just going to unmute you. Hang on. Go ahead.
I did that too. My coach has like an awesome one set up. It's from corporate. She put her own spin on it. It's the same exact idea as what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was a coach myself that was like very driven. And so I joined in the middle of the month. And at the time she didn't have that. So I did my own stuff. Like I went to Coach Online Office, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But I found with this new setup where, I got excited, like, you guys can do this at your own pace. Whenever you join, you have something to plug into, but it's like they weren't doing it. And I do have 2 very driven coaches, mm-hmm. but they still weren't doing it. And I was like, all right, guys, so apparently we all need the accountability. Like, have you not run across that? Because
I do. I mean, with some coaches, I think that is inevitable kind of no matter what sort of, introductory training I think that you offer. I think we've all run enough Coach Basics groups or whatever, Push to Emerald groups that, by day 4 or day 5 or by that second week, you feel like you're kind of tagging your coaches to make sure that they check in, and things like that. And I think that is going to happen with no matter what kind of training that you do. I have a lot of coaches who will, get through the first 8 or 9 days. And if I see it's been a couple of days that they check in, I'll be like, hey, you only need to do this one and this one, to kind of finish that training and get your little certificate. And I make a little, I make it on like PicMonkey, I post it in my team page, but they got all excited about it. So little stuff like that I found, is super motivating. It wouldn't be something for me personally that's motivating, but for new coaches, they seem to really like it. They want to like get their little certificate, so they'll go back and they'll kind of see what they didn't finish and kind of go from there. But I do have I think in it's actually the first post on week 1, and it talks about personality types. So once I can kind of discern their personality type, I can kind of gauge the speed that they're going to work at. So I know kind of when to check in and say, do you want to go back and try to maybe pick back up, maybe start over? I'm pretty good about my personally sponsored coaches. I find that a lot of downline coaches don't necessarily get through it. That's something that their leaders have to really work on. So I reach out to my leaders and say, hey, listen, like way down in your downline, you've got a star diamond who has somebody that, may not be letting her coaches know how this works or things like that. So that sort of duplication I think is difficult. But again, they're obviously always free to run their own Coach Basics as well. I found that my personally sponsored coaches think it's great and they love it and they like having just the ability to kind of go in, and work at it on their own pace and not have to worry about checking into a Facebook group every single day and being away for the weekend and getting behind on posts as a new coach. And I think a big thing in this business is we preach freedom in this business. So the less things that they have to have on their checklist to kind of make sure that they do and take up more of their time, I think is great. The Coach Basics revolves around a lot of Zoom calls and a lot of other things that can take up a lot of time, especially for a new coach who is sort of just starting to dabble in this and maybe isn't sure the extent that they want to kind of devote themselves to it. So this kind of gives them that insight to say, okay, I can kind of work at my own pace with this. I can hop on, we have a Zoom once a week for the team. We've got a Q&A Zoom, and I have a Zoom with my leaders. And they're welcome to hop on those. They're welcome to watch recordings until they feel they want to sort of devote that much time to it. A big thing that I preach is freedom. I don't want them to feel like they have to be on this call on Monday and this call on Tuesday and this call on Wednesday. And, before I know it, they've got 5 hours worth of stuff to do during the week before they even start their power hours. For me, that's not the lifestyle that I want to kind of preach to them. I want to show them that, this fits into your life. And what we kind of do is we focus on how to take the training, fit it into your life. So if you've got a day that you've got 3 hours to work, great, you can fly through probably half that training. But if you have a day that you've only got 15 minutes or a half an hour and you've got enough, you've got your invites, you've got your follow-ups, you've got your challenge groups to check into, and you maybe can't get to that training, good, then you can do 2 tomorrow and not feel bad about it. So it's really kind of about helping the coaches, create balance. We're all independent business owners. So it's not something that we should be saying, you have to be doing this and you have to be doing this. For my team, this seems to work a lot better for us, if that answers your question.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Did anybody else have questions? No? Okay. So what I kind of do with my GSRs is a little bit different than I think what most do. For us, it works. So of course I'll share it. Like I said, we do an introductory call the first few days that they've signed up. We kind of talk about their goals. We talk about what they're looking to get out of their first 30 days. Maybe they want to earn enough to pay for their challenge pack that they just bought. Maybe they want to earn enough to pay for their Shakeology next month. Maybe they want to take that first month and just work on them and work on their goals. So that's the big topic that we kind of talk about. I walk them through their back office. I let them know how to find their stuff. I let them know that, they've gotten into the team page. They've started on their emails. And then the great thing about it is their emails will come every 4 or 5 days. And after each email, it'll tell them, reach out to your sponsor, send them a message or schedule a call with them. My scheduling site is right in the email, so they can click on the link right in the email, schedule a call with me. And after each week, we kind of go over the training from that past week if they've gotten to it and anything that's been in the email. So the first week we'll focus on setting up their back office, finding their EFT, really sort of navigating the back office, finding the breaking news, getting the Coach mobile app on their phone, all that sort of basic stuff without throwing it all at them. In one email. We talk a lot about social media and how the different social media sites work and how, why to not focus on every single one of them all at once. We talk about getting to Emerald and why getting to Emerald is important and making sure that they understand team cycle bonuses and they understand the lead program and they understand Success Club. All those kind of things that we want to make sure a new coach understands. But that they're getting the information over a period of about 3 weeks so that they don't feel overwhelmed with it. We're going to talk a lot about that the next couple of days in the training. We're going to talk about posting on Facebook. We're going to talking about how to develop into a leader and how to really help your coaches get started. If you have a new coach checklist of what they should be doing when they get started, if you have any sort of intake forms or emails that you send or great things that you could include in your own if you don't have one already. If you don't have a personally sponsored coach page, why it's really important to have one. Let your coaches see you as a leader. Even if you're a brand new vet Emerald and you only have a couple coaches, you have to be really active in there. Or start to take leadership in your larger team page if you don't feel like you're ready for that yet. I always say don't step out before you feel like you're totally ready to, but ask, your upline or take a more leadership role or just start adding value to the team page that you're in. Don't show up just in there and start asking questions. Don't treat your team page like it's an FAQ. Go in there, share a great YouTube video you may have found. You may have found people posting snippets from leadership over the weekend that you thought were really informative. Anything that you may find on YouTube, or you find a great social media post that somebody posted that you were like, wow, this is really good. Share that, add value. And that will help other coaches on your team start to see you as a leader and really look to you to watch what you're doing. So it's not about being perfect. It's not about always having the right answer. It's just about doing the best that you can. And that comes in with recruiting too. A lot of times we talk about craft, people are worried if they crafted the perfect post, if they are not sure that it doesn't sound good. Don't worry about how it sounds. Be you and be authentic. Because when you try to force it and you try to worry about it and you try to worry about not sounding salesy or not sounding like you, I think that's when that sort of disconnect happens. So you want to make sure that you are sounding like you and share your story. You know, I think a lot of times that people get jaded. We get very jaded in this business because there's such an income opportunity here. There's such a huge income opportunity, more I think than any of us could have ever imagined in this business. But what is relatable is where the majority of you are right now. Most people would love to just have an extra, you know, couple $100 a week or an extra $500 a month. That's a car payment. You know, coaches would love to have, you know, hey, guess what? I was able to cover my cell phone bill and my groceries this week. That's relatable. And share that. And don't think that just because you're not making, you know, 4 or 5 figures a week, you're not allowed to share what the opportunity's done for you. Maybe it's helped you just get healthier. Maybe it's lowered your cholesterol. Maybe if, you know, maybe you were able to come off a medication. Maybe you were able to just help somebody start their journey that hasn't been able to start it for a while. All that stuff is really important and all that stuff is relatable. You know, we're coming into a time of year where people are worried about holiday weight and they're worried about, you know, how things are going to look and holiday parties, and people are going to start buying holiday gifts and they want to pay cash for their Christmas gifts. This is a great opportunity for them to not have to put their Christmas gifts on a credit card this year. They can get themselves healthier in time for the new year. They can get themselves in better shape in time for the new year, and they can make a little cash to buy their kids Christmas gifts. So they don't have to put that sort of stuff on a credit card. Hi. Sorry, I have kids home today. Does anybody have questions?
You talked about sending emails. You have, I'm sure you have an email generator. Is there any you recommend?
So I use GetResponse. And the reason that I use that is because they have an app, which anything that has an app is great in my book. But it allows you to, I have pretty much everything housed in there. It's pretty much my lifeline. So I use it to send my monthly emails to my customers. I have my coaches in there. It has obviously the ability to have landing pages. So I can have these emails start. I can do, I do my emailing to my customer leads through there. It really is such a great service. You can do forms and surveys and pretty much everything through there. And like I said, the fact that they have an app for me is great because I can add people to it right from my phone. I don't have to worry about getting to the computer. And the analytics on it are really great. You can kind of see who's clicking what links. If you've got multiple links in your email, you can see each specific link and who's kind of clicking on it, who's opening it. So for me, that's important as I'm trying to go through my customer leads and my lists and things like that. So I use pretty much my lifeline. I use it for pretty much everything. And they actually, I think, have a 30-day free trial. I'll see if I can find the link, but I think that there's a 30-day free trial. If any of you guys want to try it, I can get the link posted for you. But it's something that I love. I've tried a few of them and they never worked out for me. But again, you have to find what's going to work for you. I mean, I know a lot of people like Automatic CEO. I used to use it. I just personally was not a fan of it. I think it's a great service. It just wasn't for me. Some people like to use MailChimp. Some people like to use Constant Contact. For me, I wanted something that could really do everything. So that's what I use. But yeah, again, I mean, it's pretty easy to set up, which was good. And I like that I can do a lot of it from my phone as far as, you know, adding customers or resending emails or things like that. I don't have to worry about being on the computer all the time to kind of take care of that sort of thing. So I think that's it. Like I said, we're only a couple of days in, but I wanted to make sure that we chatted at least a little bit about getting coaches started, and at least I could share with you guys what I do as far as getting my coaches started, right, and how we talk about getting them started, getting them on the right path with their training, getting all the correct information to them, and things like that. So does anybody have any questions before we...
Yes, you mentioned that you have people schedule calls with you. What do you use for them to schedule?
I use Acuity Scheduling.
What? Say that again?
Acuity Scheduling.
Okay.
So you can just go to acuityscheduling.com. You can create a free account. I pay the $10 a month for it because it syncs with my Google Calendar on my phone. So if somebody just schedules a call, it automatically pops up on the calendar on my phone. I live and die by my phone. If it's not in my phone, it doesn't get done. It doesn't get landed anywhere. So I need to have everything in my phone to make sure that it gets taken care of. So Acuity is great. You can set up different kinds of calls. So I've got, coach needs to do a three-way call, if they need to do a power call, if they need to do a GSR call, if I have somebody who wants to just do a business opportunity call. It's got all of that in there. And then, like I said, it sends me an email, it sends me a text, and it shows up right on the calendar on my phone. So when I can go in for the day, I can say, all right, I've got calls at this time and this time. You're able to block off certain times to be available for calls, certain times to not be available. And it's great. And the free option is really great too. I mean, if you check your email on a somewhat regular basis, the free option is great. It's really easy to set up. But I've been using that for probably at least a year and a half now. And I love it. I think it's the easiest thing. It's Acuity. It's ACUITY scheduling.com. And you can just go in and create a free account. And that's a great way. So I was constantly having coaches message me and say, can I get on your calendar? And I'd be like, well, I don't know. I may have this or I may have this. So this way they've got the link. It's in my page. They can just click on the link, schedule it, and that's that. And they can kind of just go from there. And they know that they're responsible to get in touch with me at their scheduled time. And that way there's no worrying about, me not being available or that, double booking a call or things like that. Like they're on my calendar, for that time. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope this was helpful for you. Like I said, we've got a lot coming down for you over the next few weeks. I'm really, really excited. We've got so many awesome leaders in this group. I know Amy's on. I see her. So we've got so many. Leslie Davis is going to be doing next week's call. If you guys have questions about anything that I talked about today or anything else, please leave a comment in the page. Shoot me a message by all means if you guys have questions. Or you could just leave a comment under the file on the page where we had posted all of these things, and I'll make sure that I check them to get back to you guys. And as soon as this is done, I'll post the link. So if you have additional questions, you know where to find me. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.